There are some glaring holes in the Bryan Kohberger probable cause affidavit that any seasoned defense attorney is going to jump all over. In this video, I want to go through those point by point, and I want to explain how it may work in the criminal justice system as Bryan Kohberger and his attorneys prepare for trial. My name is Michael Rank. I'm a criminal defense attorney based out of Jacksonville. I've been practicing criminal defense for more than a decade. I've handled everything from armed robbery, kidnapping, attempted murder, everything in between. And I've read enough of these affidavits and defended these types of cases to know you do this job long enough, certain things begin to kind of pop off the page that you know are going to be kind of red flags or are going to be an opportunity that any criminal defense attorney is going to seize on. I understand this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but the very first thing is the roommate. What was the roommate doing when these murders were happening? Now, obviously, based on what the probable cause affidavit and what the Idaho Police Department investigation showed, is that she was cooperative, that she gave the police valuable information. But a criminal defense attorney looks at what they did and also what they didn't do. Because in this case, the roommate, what did she do? She heard banging coming from her roommate's room. She opened the door, she looked out. She didn't see anything. Closed the door, went back inside. She heard crying and a male voice and somebody say, "I think there's somebody here." She opened the door, didn't see anything, goes back inside. A few minutes later, she hears crying and another male voice, "It's okay, I'm here to help you." She opens the door, she looks out, and she sees a man coming towards her, clad in black, face covered, head covered. She can only see his eyes and his eyebrows, and this man walks directly past her. This person, who just apparently killed 4 of the people in her home, simply looks at her and walks out the door. He doesn't take the opportunity to add a 5th victim. He just looks right at her and walks out the door. Why? Why did he do this? This immediately raises the question of what is the roommate's involvement? Many people will say that, well, she's a victim as well, that she had to suffer through these crimes as well. And I don't dispute that fact. What we know so far is that she was just an eyewitness. She provided valuable information to the detectives in this case. But as I said, an experienced criminal defense attorney is going to look at what she did and what she didn't do. Because what didn't she do? She didn't do anything. She didn't try to stop this man. She stood there in fear, which most people would do. It seems like a reasonable expectation. But when she sees this man, all in black, walk directly towards her and walk out the front door or back door, she just closes the door. She doesn't go upstairs and check on her roommates. She doesn't call out and say, "Hey, are you guys okay?" She doesn't do anything. She sits there frozen, closes the door, locks the door, and sits there. Does she call 911? Does she call police? Does she call her family? Does she call her friends? No, she doesn't do anything. She doesn't do anything until noon the next day. 8 hours later, her friends have been dead for 8 hours. She has seen a man that she doesn't know leave her house. And she is in complete and utter state of shock. And she doesn't do anything. She doesn't do anything to help herself or to potentially help her friends. That's number one. And number 2, a lot of people are focusing on the DNA. And obviously the DNA in this case is going to be a very important piece of the case. But what a lot of people are also focusing on is the cell phone records. Police, with Moscow Police Department, kind of created a map of where they believe that Bryan Kohberger had driven in the days previous, leading up to this event, and also the hours leading up to the event. And the map that they tracked based on the location of his phone as it's pinging off towers in the area is in the general area of the home where the killings occurred. What people don't understand about these cell phone records is these cell phone records are not GPS records. They don't show you exactly where that phone was at a specific time. All this phone records are doing is that as you're walking, as you're driving, as your phone is on, Your phone is constantly looking for another cell tower. Your phone is constantly looking for something to ping off of, to connect to. And that's all that these records show, is that as this phone was going by, it connected to this tower. As it was going by here, it connected to this tower, and it came back. It doesn't mean that the phone was there. You can have a phone connect to a tower that's 15 miles away, and then have your phone connect to a tower that's half a mile away. So while people want to kind of jump on this fact as further proof that Bryan Kohberger was there at the scene on the day of the crime, the cell phone records are not as reliable as the GPS records. It's a very, very rough estimation of where that phone was at that particular time. And that's the key. It doesn't show you who had the phone. It shows you where that phone may have been at the time that these murders occurred. And this kind of also leads into the other aspect regarding the DNA. The DNA issue obviously is going to be a huge part of this case. And that's the one piece of evidence that a lot of people in the media are discussing right now. But the DNA doesn't show that Bryan Kohberger killed anyone. The only thing that the DNA shows is that Bryan Kohberger's DNA was at the scene of the crime. That's it. From what we know, it was found on the sheath of a knife, on the button that's used to close the sheath of the knife. We don't know if it was blood. We don't know if it was saliva. We just know that it was one profile of male DNA that they were able to locate off of the sheath of the knife. We don't know anything about that knife. We don't know where it came from. We don't know who had it. We don't know if Bryan Kohberger bought it. We don't know if he gave it to somebody. We don't know if it was a gift. We don't know if he sold it. You don't know anything about that knife, other than somehow his DNA got on that knife. So obviously these are very unpopular opinions, but this is the job of a criminal defense attorney, is to poke holes in the evidence that the state has to present, that the state has to prove. Because the job of a criminal defense attorney is not to disprove the state's case. The job of a criminal defense attorney is to raise reasonable doubt. Raise doubt in the minds of a jury to say, well, evidence, when they first saw it, it looked pretty strong. It looked pretty solid. But then once we start hearing this other stuff, we began to second guess ourselves. We began to think about other possibilities. And the role of a criminal defense attorney is to raise that doubt, is to show that there are other options than what the state is presenting to you. There's other versions of events that could have taken place, because right now, at this moment, Bryan Kohberger has been tried and convicted in the court of public opinion. And it's a job of his attorneys to overcome that bias and to present the other evidence that may be beneficial to him. If you found any of this information beneficial, please like, comment, and subscribe so other people can find this information as well.